Coming up next on the Filthy Rich Cleaners podcast.
It's got to go. It's got to go. This doesn't make sense anymore because they do not have it in the budget to be charged what we like to make at commercial accounts.
From your first dollar to your first million, welcome to the Filthy Rich Cleaners podcast, presented by ZenMade. Join your host, Stephanie Pipkin, founder of Serene Clean, as she shares proven tips, tricks, and hard-earned lessons. Whether you're just starting out or ready to scale, get ready to discover how to build your own cleaning empire. Let's roll up our sleeves and dive in.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Filthy Rich Cleaners podcast. I'm your host, Stephanie Pipkin from Serene Clean. And in today's solo episode, I want to talk to you guys about opportunity cost. And if you don't know what opportunity cost is, from our Google AI overview, in simple terms, it's what you give up when you choose one option over another. And the reason I want to bring this up is oftentimes what we are choosing is at the detriment of what we could be doing with that same time, opportunity, cleaning slot, whatever have you. We are putting ourselves in situations where we're missing out on opportunities we're not even aware of yet. And the reason this is like top of mind for me right now is because this morning during my brief management meeting that I had, every Monday we have our team meetings, and then I just touch base with my management team before our actual large scale kind of operations meeting on Wednesdays. That's kind of how we do things in our team, just to see how's everybody doing, any projects or any insights that we need from each other, or if we do have anything that needs to be handled prior to Wednesday and it is very time sensitive. And this was kind of the case this morning, is we needed to touch base on a commercial account. And basically the situation with this commercial account, it's a library and we've been servicing them for several years now. And, you know, on the surface, it's a good account, meaning it's daytime commercial, right? It's a couple times a week. It's a library, right? You're like, gosh, this couldn't be any easier, right? You'd be wrong. We have had a lot of problems at this particular facility. Problem number one is Stephanie bid it too low in the beginning when we first got it, and bid it low because one, I just underestimated the time it would take for what they were looking for. However, I will give myself some grace, as I believe that there was some scope creep that was happening. And in order to keep them happy, I basically was like, hey, we can go over by 15 minutes or half an hour every single time to keep them happy. Honestly, I just like the account, like our contact. She was really nice. We got the account because of another public facility we do in that town, I think a city hall. And so it was like a word of mouth situation. And so for me, I never really looked at the numbers and saw like the glaring issue that it was until we started doing like actual audits and production rate audits on our commercial facilities. And it's like, whoa, we are not making enough here. We're making like drastically not enough. And so we attempted to do a price increase on them and they were like, no. And for some reason we didn't drop them then. Again, it was just, there was a lot of my emotional baggage associated with this account because I was like, I don't want this to drop because it makes me feel bad. Like this, I can't really explain it other than that because it financially didn't really make sense. So we adjusted some of the scope of work to rotate different tasks and things like that. But just from a communication standpoint, it hasn't been great. We've had to do a lot of back and forth with them, more so than any other commercial account. Honestly, it's been just a huge headache. And then they're about to do this expansion. They're doing this giant construction project now. And frankly, it's been just a bit of a nightmare in a lot of different ways for our cleaning tech there. And we can't have any other cleaning techs there, because they want Janine because she is great and all of that. And she is great. But if we can't send any other cleaner in, that's a problem. Like, so there was just a bunch of red flags kind of stacking up of anytime we're having to do a ton of back and forth on a regular basis or having like improper communication, meaning we would email them and they wouldn't answer us. Like Katie would ask a bunch of questions, my customer relations manager, She would email them questions, no response. Emails, questions, no response. They would leave notes for Janine, the cleaner there, to do things instead of going through the correct chain of communication, which they have been told, hey, no, you need to tell us when something needs to change. You don't get to leave the cleaner a note. And that's just not how we do things. Like, it needs to come through us. So we know what's going on, going to her and asking her for things. Just in general, a lot of it was a million different things that just, all of us are over it. Everybody on my management team and my cleaning tech are just over it. And we're just a situation kind of happened last week with our cleaner where she just felt really undermined and kind of invalidated because it's really dusty there, and she was getting kind of sick and things were flaring up, and they just very, very dismissive to her. And honestly, we're just we need to talk about this because we're why are we keeping this account? The money doesn't make sense. The administrative labor doesn't make sense. Our cleaner is always stressed there, and all of these things. And I literally said in the meeting, I was like, okay, I did the math. We need to have Janine on 4 hours a week of additional residential work to make the same what we're making at this library for the month, right? That's what the math works out to, is if we can get her on 4 hours of residential cleaning at $55 per man hour, we're making as much. That is one house appointment a week. We can do that right now, right? And it would just be so much easier. And we could actually put her on more with that same time slot, really, when you think about it. So we're just yeah, it's gotta go. It's gotta go. This doesn't make sense anymore because they do not have it in the budget to be charged what we like to make at commercial accounts, right? Or really at any accounts. They cannot pay what we would like to charge. So with that same time slot, though it's consistent, okay, if I only have to replace it with that, well, I can do that easy peasy any day of the week. And so when we really start to lay things out in this manner of this, and what is it causing because we can't use her at other places? What is it causing all of these problems with her for, she doesn't necessarily she likes going there, and they really do respect her in a lot of ways, but there's a bunch of these little things that are just not right. And honestly, it's gotten to the point of, I don't even want to hear about them anymore. I don't want to hear about that account because it's what is it this week? What is it this week? Right. And just a lot of things. And so we made the decision where we are giving them notice today. In 10 days, their service will be done because that's our notice period. And they do the same. All of our commercial accounts, they can drop us and with a 10-day notice, and we can drop them with a 10-day notice. That's what we have in our contract. I don't believe in long-term contracts and locking people in where they're not happy. If they want to leave, they should be able to. And I feel the same about us. So that's what we're doing. And so I don't know, Katie might have already sent the breakup email. I'm not sure yet if she's done that. But it will be going out today is it's not us, it's you email. And honestly, the sense of relief I could feel in my team this morning having this discussion of we're cleaning out the brush. And anytime we have accounts that are just taking this colossal amount of back and forth, and I'm not saying that you should just, as soon as an account complains, you should drop them, or as soon as you need to answer an email, you should drop them. No, I guess what I'm trying to say is that over time, we've really seen these patterns in less ideal accounts where we could easily fill that cleaner's time with a more ideal account. And that's what we're really trying to hone in on as we continue to grow, is what is our ideal? And I understand not everybody is going to perfectly fit this mythical perfect client, right? But could we get somebody who was more leaning that way on the spectrum than this very unideal situation where we're all getting very frustrated and resentful every time we're having to deal with it? And it's weird because everybody's nice. It's not it's anything really, really overt. It's kind of these insidious things that are adding up to this frustration of, really, okay, we service 64 commercial accounts right now. This is the only one we feel this way about. And this is also, it's not the biggest one. It's not the most complicated one. So that to us is this kind of red flag of, whoa, if we're all experiencing this level of frustration and the only thing that would solve it, or one of the things that would solve it, would be charging appropriately. And we can't do that here because they're under certain budget constraints. Well, then maybe this isn't the right fit, and we need to give them an opportunity to find a company that is maybe more the right fit. Truly, they need an individual cleaner. They need an individual cleaner that they are able to just go and change everything. Like every single time they come in, they can tell them to do different things, right? And that's just not how we do it at commercial. And they just seemed to not like the fact that they even had to go through us. And they consistently, I guess, disobeyed our rule on that, if you will. And that's just not something that we're willing to compromise on. Of you don't get to go directly to your cleaner and tell them what they're doing that day or anything like that. Basically cutting us out of the communication loop, because that opens you up to so many problems. Even, from the production rate standpoint of like, oh, wait, we're trying to see how long does this actually take, but you're not working off of the list that we bid because they keep asking you to do all of these other things. And so we actually don't know how long it takes to do the work that we bid. And so over, the couple years, we have consistently been donating 15 minutes every single appointment in order to accommodate their scope creep, but not their willingness to increase the budget. Okay, you don't think 15 minutes is a long time? Start extrapolating that 3 times a week for several years. All right, that time is money, guys. And then on top of that, all of the admin work. So all of this to say, over time as you grow your business, I really want you to think about what is the ideal and who are your ideal clients? Because I know you have some ideal clients right now. Those ones that you're like, God, they're so good. They're so easy to work with. I work my butt off for them and they appreciate it. They pay their bill on time. Like there's people out there that do that and who respect you, communicate really well, give you ample notice if they need to rearrange, all of these things. And again, like if that's the ideal, I'm not saying that we're just going to have a stable of ideal horses, aka clients, right? That's not, but can we get some like really good ones? Can we get like everybody to a really good level? And over time, that can happen. And it's not necessarily going to happen like if you're listening and you're like, I haven't opened yet. Well, maybe you're not going to be able to do that. And we have to service non-ideal clients over time. I definitely think that, and that's how you learn, right? You can't just say on the front end, I don't think you're perfect for me, so I'm not going to service for you. I don't think that that's possible. I think that's kind of a pipe dream. I do feel we need to, in order to hone this muscle of even knowing what is ideal, you need to actually clean for people. Because sometimes there's people who you would think this isn't going to be ideal, like they just don't give you that vibe. And then they're a great client. So I don't want you to stereotype or anything like that like, oh, well, this neighborhood I had 2 bad clients there, so I'm not going to have any clients in that neighborhood. I think that, or, even I was like, well, I'm not going to ever service a library again. We have other libraries. So I don't want you to make these sweeping judgments necessarily. Sometimes you can, like for us, we don't service restaurants. We don't do clean homes that have been smoked in. Those are across the board rules that we have made the decision on based on prior experiences or just things that we're not willing to do, right? Or we don't clean up, biohazard stuff necessarily or whatever. Like we can make these sweeping judgments for what we want to do in our business. But when it comes to figuring out like the best kind of clients for you, you're going to have to do some trial and error. But I wanted to bring this up because I think that a lot of times we are afraid to drop a client. We are afraid to fire an employee. We are afraid to put a policy in place, like having credit cards on file. I know that sometimes that's a big hang up for people. We're afraid to do all of these things because we don't know. We think that the possible result of that decision is going to be painful, or somebody's not going to react pleasantly to us making that decision. But I want to challenge you guys to think about what is the opportunity cost of you not doing that thing, you not making that decision, you not firing. Because I will tell you, you not firing that client or that employee that in your gut, you're like, this is not going to work out. You are going to be causing yourself 3x pain down the road. So would you rather have this unpleasant moment right now and reap the rewards later because all of a sudden you have an opening for an ideal client, and if you put your marketing and sales efforts forward and get your video reviews and get your website and get your Google reviews and consistently asking for referrals and all of the things that we can do to get more clients, if we know we're putting in that effort and have faith that if we work these systems and we put the work in, that the results will come. We just have to be patient and we have to put in the work. If we know that we're doing these things, why are we still hanging on to less ideal clients or clients who, you've been given? I remember I saw that question, I think a couple weeks ago, where it's like, I was given all of these clients and they're at this really low price. Well, why are we hanging on to them or not doing a price increase? Because we're afraid that we can't fill those spots? Well, what could we do to help reduce that fear? Well, we could fix our lead generation. We could fix our marketing. We could put efforts into sales and follow up and things like that, so that it's a lot easier to make these decisions, these tougher decisions, when the proof has been in the pudding before. I feel confident in dropping this, whatever it is, $800. I think they're $850 a month, right? And still, that's low. They should be at least $1,000. I think they're supposed to be, for us to make what we want to make, they need to be at $1,200 a month, and that's not going to happen. So the only way for me to feel confident in dropping them is I have faith that a client that is willing to pay our prices is going to come and fill that spot. That's the only way that I can make that decision. And I have that faith based on, at this point, years of proven leads. Is that we got the leads, we have the close rate. So I know it's hard for you guys to make these decisions when the proof isn't there. And that's why it's so important to be doing these things so you can be confident. And that's where, for us as cleaning business owners, there's two big areas, right? It's going to be clients and cleaning techs, or however you call them. We call them cleaning technicians in our business. Those are your areas. So firing one of these, right? We need to be confident that we can get something better in place, right? Otherwise, we're not going to make these decisions. And I will actually say, sometimes the lack of them is such a relief that not even having faith that you can replace them is better than holding on to them. And what I mean is that bad employee is ruining your business in so many ways. You don't even necessarily know all of them, what the reputation damage they're doing to you. I would rather you be out cleaning than keep them on. I would rather you have a wait list than keep them on and wait. And I'm really excited for the interview to drop with my HR manager, Crystal Davidson. I think you guys are going to really love that. And we talk a lot about this concept of, we have really come to terms with not hiring out of desperation and not just, filling the spot with a warm body because we were desperate. We had so many cleanings to do and not enough staff, and how much that hurt us in the long run over and over and over because we kept making this mistake. And so all of this to say, I want you guys to really think about, what is the opportunity cost of you guys not making the difficult decisions that you need to make? What is the opportunity cost of you not putting in the effort of getting your sales in order, getting your lead management in order, your follow-up in order, your employee management in order? And I know that you guys know you need to do all of these things, but I really want you to think about, what is this costing me by not actually putting effort into fixing this problem? Because it might, once you start thinking of it that way, it's a lot easier for you to get the gumption to make that decision. Because this morning, once I started listing off verbally to my managers, okay, this is the opportunity cost of keeping the library. This. And I just listed off a bunch of things, and it got us all like, yeah, we need to drop them, because it's just like, holy crap, when we start laying out all of the costs, because this means that Janine, she's very flexible. We can't use her as a kind of flex person. We can't put her on some of the houses that we need to cover in one of our service areas that we desperately need staff right now, because we just had a full-time time or leave. The replacement isn't trained in. And so we're like, at this point, we are causing our cleaners to drive from our first location to this other location. And that means that I'm having to pay a lot of extra drive time, a lot of gas time. And because they're driving, that's taking up cleaning time. So this one decision is actually costing me so much more money than we even know. Because once you start thinking of it that way of, well, if Janine had these 3 time slots open, that would allow me to not be pulling cleaners from this area to fulfill this need because she's closer. That's going to save me mileage. That's going to save me drive time. It allows me to have more chargeable time too, since we charge by the hour. So because she could actually have a day filled more with cleaning than driving than these other staff members. And then these staff members can service appointments in that area. And it starts to tumble like that when you really start to think of this of like, okay, the goal is to get as much money as possible out of every single cleaning tech. That is the goal. How can we make their day as efficient as possible? And because her day is being sucked up at a client that is not paying anywhere near our going rate now, so she could be making more hourly. It's actually costing us like a ton more because the appointments she could be taking are now being taken by cleaners who have to drive further, which means they can't clean as much in that day because we don't want their day going longer or whatever. So once you start like actually thinking about stuff, it really like gives you a kick in the ass to make the hard decision. So I implore you to really think about the things that you have been avoiding to make decisions on because it's going to involve a difficult conversation for 12 seconds. Okay, guys, I'm sure that we all can think of something right now. And honestly, this is like such a me thing. I can tell you guys this, and I struggle so hard with having difficult conversations. So this is where me having great managers comes into play. But this is something that when I had no managers, I just had to do it. I had to make these decisions. And honestly, I brought on so many accounts and staff members that were not ideal. And I learned a ton from them. And a lot of times you guys are just going to have to get burned and learn not to touch that hot pan again. I can't tell you it's hot. I can't put the caution tape on it. You're going to have to touch the hot pan. And you're going to have to get burned yourself, but please learn from that and apply it to the next time so you don't keep getting burned. Like that's, definition of insanity. Keep doing the same thing over and over again. And that was one of the things that I continually did again and again and again is make poor decisions and then wonder why I kept getting burned like a month or two later. Right. So just opportunity cost, guys. I'd love for you guys to, share. Is there anything that stands out to you that you have been avoiding or any accounts that you've been holding on because you're afraid? You're afraid that you're not going to be able to replace them. And that is a legitimate fear. I'm not saying just like we can just manifest this out of nothing, right? It's going to take real work to get processes in place that make you feel confident in order to make these hard decisions when it comes to firing employees or cutting accounts. That's kind of the two things that I'm specifying right now. It is going to take some work to get things in place, but it can be done. And so I hope that this makes you realize how important it is to get those things in place so that when you have to make those hard decisions that make the most sense for you, you're not holding on out of fear. You're not holding on to a shitty account that doesn't pay you enough because you're afraid that you're not going to get anything better. It's like staying in a bad relationship because you think that this is familiar and this is all I can get. This is the best I'm going to get. And that's not advice that we think anybody should, hold on to or follow in a relationship. So why are we thinking like this in our business? We need to think the same way, is that there is going to be better. There's going to be more ideal. And most likely you guys have some really ideal clients. That means there's more of them. They're not just like this perfect little unicorn, right? There's a lot of fantastic clients who are willing to pay the going rate for cleaning, like professional cleaning these days. There's a ton of them. I promise you that. And so we just have to get things in place in order to attract them and to convince them to give us a try. And that's where marketing and all of that great stuff, having a great sales process and all of the other things we talk about on this podcast to really showcase that we've got the stuff. We are the ones they should trust in their homes and businesses. And so that does take real work. And no, we don't just, say it and then it just happens. We have to put in that work. But let's think about what our lack of decisions are really costing us in our cleaning businesses this week, perhaps. And leave it in the comments. What do you guys think about this? And it's something I try to keep in mind and really top of mind. Honestly, we run it through. We talk about opportunity costs all the time at Serene Clean, and I think that it's a really valid concept and kind of framework to think about of what is it costing you by not doing the thing or holding on to something that maybe isn't the best fit anymore. But anyways, guys, that's what I got for you this week. I hope you're having a fabulous week. Let me know how it's going for you, what struggles you have, what questions I can answer, any topics you'd love to see. As you all know, I am here for you and want to make this as educational, motivational, and fun to listen to as possible for you guys. Anyways, I'll see you on the next episode. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, and we'll see you on the next episode of Filthy Rich Cleaners. Bye, guys.